What's up, everybody? It's Johnny Brown here with HauntScene. It is Tuesday
night.
Yep, it's 8
I
o'clock.
thought it was Thursday.
You are watching America's #1 rated haunt chat, HauntScene Live. With me, as always, my lovely, beautiful, amazing, very well protected co-host, Melissa Lukac.
Thank you, Johnny. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to HauntScene Live.
Aww. Isn't this great? We love each other.
He does. Johnny looks out for me.
All right. So tonight we have a very special guest for you. We had her on a couple of years ago, almost 2 years to the day. Unfortunately, we're not going to have her in the studio where she can bring all kinds of entities like she did last time. But we've got Ting from American Ghost Adventure. So let's go ahead and bring on Ting and say hi to everybody.
What's up, Ting?
And what am I going to do before I bring
You're
her on?
going to unmute.
I'm going to unmute her. There we go.
Unmute her.
There we go.
Hey!
Everybody, thanks for having me on. Nice to see everybody.
It's nice to see you again. Ting's been a little under the weather, but she's feeling better now, so that's good. So I'll give all the love in the chat for Ting. Ting is the one that runs American Ghost Adventures here out of Orlando. She's also a firefighter.
She is?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know you were a firefighter.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, firefighter EMT.
Nice.
For a local fire department here in Orlando.
Very
Nice.
cool. Very cool.
So Ting, in the beginning of the show, and this has changed a little bit since the last time, we do what's called the elevator pitch. This gives you a chance to tell America who you are, what you do, maybe expand on what I just said. I kind of ruined it for her. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
No worries. My name is Ting. I'm the founder of American Ghost Adventures. We do several different adventures here in the Central Florida area, and we do go to different haunted cities throughout the United States, and that hence the name American Ghost Adventures. And basically, my daytime job is I'm a firefighter EMT, so I'm used to a lot of chaos, and I have a lot of fun with that job. But my real fun job is ghost hunting here in Orlando. That's when I get to meet people that are upright and want to be seen by me. And we just go out and we explore the downtown area and all the neighboring cities nearby, and we have fun with it. So I've been here my entire life, so I know a lot about the Central Florida area.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it, but Orlando has a lot of, like, a ridiculous amount of, like, history. And you learn so much on the tour. Melissa and I and a bunch of our friends just went on the tour this last weekend. Like I said, we went a couple of years ago, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fun. It was really nice to do it again and learn about the history again.
Every tour, even if you do the same tour the next night, basically no two tours are ever alike. So that's the fun part of it. We just don't know what we're going to encounter the night of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you once again to our tour guide, Heather, who was awesome. We went with the whole HauntScene crew was there, including significant others, apparently. And we brought Misfits Unmanaged, Jeremiah and Kier with us. The Journey with Josh was there.
It was like 10 of us.
The tour got joshed.
It got joshed the entire night.
Yep. You got to scoot over this way a little bit. There we go. I mean, you don't have to get that close.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, you can. All right. So we've got stuff to show you, all kinds of things. We're going to have all of their information, but let's go ahead and take a look. So AmericanGhostAdventures.com. Make sure you go to that one, AmericanGhostAdventures.com. Don't misspell that, AmericanGhostAdventures.com. But I just wanted to congratulate you because I was looking at your website, and it looks like TripAdvisor here, for the last couple of years, you've won several awards as far as being one of the Traveler's Choice winner here in 2020.
Yes, thank you to all the people that have made that happen for us. It makes us really happy, and it's really important for a small business like ourselves to actually be able to survive through 2020. So, I mean, for you to take your time out and write a great review for us, I mean, thank you. We would never have been able to do that without, our guest help.
Did you write a review yet?
Not yet.
I did. I gave them a 5-star review.
But my review is going to be 5 stars all the way, though. Of course.
Are you sure?
Yes.
And for those that don't like writing, they can just go to Google and just hit the 5 stars.
There you go. Do that.
Also, so there's several options, and just know that your review does make a difference for a small company like ours.
It's all about supporting those spooky small
things.
businesses. Awesome. So, like I mentioned earlier, we've done the tour twice now. We had a really good time. Ting was our ghost tour guide last time.
First time we did it, yep.
And it was really, really neat. And then Melissa wasn't here on the show.
I wasn't here in the studio when we had Ting in the studio.
Yeah, Ting
but
came
I heard
to
a lot
the studio
about a lot of spooky things.
And like brought spooky things with her into my house, which was so weird. And what I should have done is I should have gone to that episode and pulled a couple clips, because there were a couple things that happened during that episode that was a little like crazy, something like threw like a little piece of dust or rock in my eye. It was crazy.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. And the air felt like really heavy. It was just. Oof.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ting.
I do have travelers with me.
So Ting's like, oh yeah, I gotta be on this one via Zoom.
Nice.
I'm like, no problem, Ting.
No problem, Ting. Anytime.
Awesome. So here's where the location is. It's in downtown Orlando. Now remember, they do multiple types of ghost tours all over Florida and some other areas, but the main location is going to be here in downtown Orlando. Here's the address off of Church Street. Church Street, a very historical district in downtown Orlando. The meetup spot is at the Hairy Buffalo, where we actually all had dinner, and it was awesome. And how long have you been located here in the Hairy Buffalo?
Hairy Buffaloes, we've been teamed up with them for about 7 or 8 years now. So they've been an awesome partner, and the building is incredibly haunted, as you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It is. So you'll see it. It's very clearly marked, the meeting spot. You're going to want to get there at least 15 minutes early. So our tour was at 8. The tour leaves promptly at the time. So don't be late for that. The office is located on the 3rd floor. You're going to want to book it ahead online at AmericanGhostAdventures.com. I'll have all the social media stuff up at the very, very end. But let's take a look at some of the pictures that we took. And then I want to talk about some of the different locations. Does that sound good?
All right. Absolutely. Let's go.
Here we go. Okay, so here's us at Hairy Buffalo stuffing our faces with the crew.
Stuffing our faces.
And it was really neat. And then we've got, here's Heather here on the right, our tour guide. You get a name tag, a sticker, and everything here. Is there a particular reason that you chose this location?
They were just really, really friendly, and the 3rd floor is actually vacant. And they were the only restaurant 8 years ago that allowed us to go inside and say, hey, we have such great activity in this building. The servers are nervous about it, and the employees always complain about being spooked upstairs. Do you guys mind checking it out? So one Halloween season, we went up there and we started checking things out, and we noticed that there was a lot of activity. And we just said, hey, can we team up with you guys where we can bring people in here nightly? And they said, absolutely. We got enough activity here. The spirits wants us here. The management wants us there. And it's just a friendly location, and people can see the location from the road and find us pretty easily. So that's the reason why we chose Hairy Buffalo for the most part.
All right. It's a perfect location. Just super duper perfect. You can make a night out of it, because not only can you do the ghost tour, and they offer several different types, 2 hours, 4 hours, different kinds, but there's many places to eat, obviously all the bars and everything downtown. But one thing that I thought of that I didn't think of the last time is I've heard from several people that a lot of theaters and movie theaters and bars and dance clubs and that kind of thing, they all tend to draw in like a type of like energy, like especially theaters. And I've actually heard that from several people, but it didn't really occur to me that Church Street, prior to like when Disney had Pleasure Island, like Church Street was the place. Like it was the place.
Yeah, I remember going there when I came down here on vacation, that it was a major hot spot for a lot of hangouts and stuff like that.
So do you think beyond that in the history of Orlando, the downtown Orlando area, do you think that kind of contributes to the activity in the area?
Absolutely. The other contributing factor is the founder of Church Street, which is Bob Snow, was a collector. So he went all over the world and collected antiques and stuff like that and brought it back to Church Street. So part of the stuff is going to be object haunts, some of it's going to be residual haunts, and of course there's going to be intelligent haunts in these buildings. But he was a huge contributor to the stuff. He, like I said, brought a lot of stuff from all over the world and placed it in these buildings. So over the years, we've already heard stories, a haunted piano, haunted, archways, haunted pictures and stuff like that. So yes. And not only that, if you think about it, the clubs were a performing theater. So a lot of emotion went into these places. And of course, those energies were left behind. So it's really, really interesting. There's so many things that cause the Church Street area to be quite haunted.
Yeah, and it's not quite the hot spot it used to be. But it's neat because you can peek in a lot of the buildings and kind of see what used to be in there, as we go. So we embarked on our tour, and we started to go to different locations. Now, this was neat because, like Ting said, no two tours are the same. We got to go in, and this is exclusive to American Ghost Adventurers, we got to go into the train station, which has a lot of history and many documented hauntings, and we did a very short investigation there. And you can see here we got Lily, our new team member, took a picture of the bar behind the scenes, and then we got a couple objects here that we were trying to get the entity to interact with here. So do you want to talk about the train station?
Sure. It's one of the original train stations there in Orlando, and it's been many, many things over the years. After Church Street became a ghost town, several years later, a restaurant called Ferg's Depot bought it. Ferg's Depot is based out of St. Pete. They are the largest bar and / pub that's located near Tropicana Field out in St. Pete. So the school teacher that owned it decided to bring a version of it here to Orlando because of the Amway Arena and the foot traffic that was supposed to be on Church Street itself. So when he relocated the restaurant to that building, it hadn't been touched in over a decade.
Wow.
So it's going to be really, really interesting. There was a steam train that was parked on the side of the building, and they gave that away for free. All you had to do was move it. So if you could have the means to move this steam train, you're going to get it for free. And for a while there, nobody picked it up. And then finally, somebody out in Vegas decided, hey, we want it. We want it for our area. So supposedly, if you go to Vegas, you may find that steam train sitting there that says it's from Orlando, Florida, the Church Street Station area.
Oh, wow.
Now, because they started construction in there, and it is a historical building, and they're turning it into a restaurant, they did have some challenges, kind of like having a kitchen, having extra restrooms, because it is a restaurant, and beforehand it was just a train station. It didn't have all that. So they actually brought in steel cars, and put it on the side where the steam train was at one point in time. And that's where the extra restrooms went in. And that's where the kitchen was going to be at. And then from what I understand, when we walked up to basically the assistant general manager, and I said, hey, I'm Ting with American Ghost Adventures. And that's all I had to say. And he looked at me and he goes, yes, the building's haunted. So, I mean, it was kind of cool right off the bat. I didn't even have to say anything else besides that I was with American Ghost Adventures. I said, wow, do you have any good stories? And he says, absolutely. In the back of the train station area, he said they were in a meeting where the general manager, owner, marketing person, servers, everybody was there. And they were having like a team meeting and they were talking. And he said a chair that was propped up on a table flew 4 feet across the room, hit the wall, and shattered.
Oh,
Wow.
And I said, 4 inches? Like it just fell off the table? And he goes, no, you heard me. 4 feet across the room,
wow.
hit the wall, and shattered.
Wow.
And he says, everybody saw that. So he goes, yeah, we know the building is haunted. And as they were opening and stuff like that, because they were based out of St. Pete, they close at 11, 12 o'clock at night. If they drove back, it's going to take them 2.5 hours, 3 hours with traffic. And then, so most of them just decided to spend the night upstairs. So when they spent the night upstairs, they had more encounters with spirits up there. So that was kind of interesting. One of the best stories that I heard from them was there was an employee, one of the managers. The employee said he was flipped off the couch. And I go, what do you mean flipped off the couch? He goes, he flipped off the couch like a pancake. And I was like, that's interesting. So I talked to the manager guy and he goes, yeah, I didn't fall off the couch. I didn't roll off the couch, but I felt the next thing was that I ended up on the floor. And he says, I was so stunned and the wind was knocked out of me. he goes, when I caught my breath, I walked downstairs outside of the building and just kind of looked back up at the window and going, what the heck just happened? Since that day, he really didn't go upstairs that often. And that's where their office is. And he said, I only went up there when I had to go up there. Other than that, I would just go the rest of the building and rested somewhere else and took my break somewhere else besides upstairs.
Wow.
So that was really, really interesting. The other famous ghost story is that the chefs, they were cooking in this steel boxcar, had it flapped open. They were cleaning up and everything. It was later at night, and they were had the lights all dimmed down in the hallway area so that, you know, people would know that they were closed. And they stopped me when I was walking back to my car, and they said, Ting, we know you do the ghost tours here, and we really didn't believe you. I mean, we've heard all these other, you know, employees have stories and everything, but tonight we saw a woman with no feet, transparent, floating down this hallway.
Ooh.
He says we all stood so quietly, so we didn't know what to expect. We just all froze for a second, and she just disappeared in thin air. So
Wow.
it was really, really cool to hear that encounter. You know what I
my
mean?
goodness.
And as we started investigating in the building, we kind of got to meet that spirit that they were talking about. And she actually gave us a name, and we got the name Annabelle. And so from there on, we started building on the story with Annabelle, learning more about her, questioning her whenever she appeared. And one of the biggest things is that she liked our male tour guides. So she responded to them much more. She said she was in her late 20s, early 30s. She died of some kind of stomach ailment, because when our tour guides actually do these tours, at the end of the night, they actually write a report of all the encounters and who triggered what and what went on. So we actually have documentation of this. And we've noticed that she pretty much talked to all the male tour guides, and people that were on our tour would get nauseated and just feel really, really queasy in their stomach. But as soon as they left the train station, all those symptoms went away.
Wow.
So it's only when they encountered this spirit. So it was really, really interesting. So we know that she still walks around, and we're still getting those same feelings sometimes when people encounter her on our tours.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so we spent a little bit of time there, explaining the history of the train station and everything. I like how we get, like I said earlier, walking around downtown Orlando, you don't really think history. You think it's all like modern and all that stuff, but there's a ton of history downtown. So the next stop as we walked around was the art gallery. I forget the name of it.
It's called the Gordon Rogers Building now.
That's what it
Gordon
was.
Rogers building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
here's
the Gordon Rogers City Art Factory is what it's called nowadays. But yeah, it was called the Gordon Rogers Building back in the old days.
so this is a little stop. Now, this wasn't a building that we were able to access, but it is open during the day. If you do like a day tour, you can go in there. But
Oh, so you guys do daytime ghost tours too?
We do historical daytime tours. Basically, if you have a time frame and you have a group of people that want to do the tour, if I have the tour guides available, we're going to do the tour for you. So we can customize it. So one of the buildings, we actually do our 4-hour tours. So our 4-hour tours start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, purposely so that we can go into the Gordon Rogers Building. Now, the Gordon Rogers Building is such a beautiful building. It has an outcrop building or window on the top floor there that you can see. And a lot of people will see a man standing up there waving at them. Now, I think he's an intelligent haunt because he is waving at us, if that makes any sense. Others think that it's a residual haunt. He may have been standing there the entire time and just constantly waves to people downstairs. So it's kind of interesting. Now, Mr. Gordon Rogers came from England, and this was a social club. So it was what we call a gentleman's club. And it's not what our gentleman club that we think of today. Back then, it was
Like
just
Rachel's?
to socialize,
Like Rachel's,
talk
yeah.
politics. Right, like Rachel's.
That's Rachel's
and
Steakhouse,
naked women
yeah.
everywhere. No. So it's not one of those kind of gentlemen's clubs. So
You
there
get some
are
different
rumors
kind of
out there. If you
spirits
listen to the others. If you talk to like other ghost tour companies, they'll tell you, you know, it's like I said, a strip club, a brothel, and all that. That is incorrect. It was a gentleman's club, but it was basically to talk about politics, weather, and what they can do for their community. So it was a really good building. At one point in time, there was a theater up there on the second floor and a bowling alley.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah, it's
how
a very
big that
long
building
building.
is.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been a lot of things. It was a newspaper area also. And so now it was given to the city a couple of years ago, and it is now hosting local artists. So it's a city arts factory, and it is a wonderful place to go. And they work off a donation, so definitely donate to the building and preserve the historical building there.
Yeah. So there's that, and then we headed back towards the Hairy Buffalo, and like Ting said, no two tours are the same. So you might end up in another location. Like last time we were in an escape game, escape room, that we stopped by, and then we stopped outside of that drive-through funeral home that's outside of where Cocktails and Screams is. So head back here. Now, do all the tours kind of end up back at on the Hairy Buffalo? Is that kind of the end game of all of them?
90% of the time, yes. 90% of the time. So depending on what tour you choose, it'll do a different ending. And then, of course, we'll ask the guests if it is a private tour or if it's a smaller group, we'll go, where did you park? And we'll try to end in that area for them. So we have access to several different buildings. You're always going to get the best customer service with our group. So no two tours are ever alike. And it's basically, like I said, it's customizable. We have pub tours. So sometimes we'll try to circle back around. So that you can find your car. Other times if people go, hey, we're okay, we're locals, we know where we're at, let's go further. We can go all the way down to even past Lake Eola sometimes.
Wow.
Oh, awesome.
Towards Thornton Park. So it just depends on how comfortable people are. But the typical tour, if we have a lot of tourists on it, we'll always end back up on Church Street somehow, whether we end up at the train station or at Hairy Buffalo so that they can find their vehicles.
Okay. So we have a clip. We've got like a little kind of highlight reel of our tour.
Okay.
So we're not spoiling anything. It's only a couple minutes long, but we're going to go ahead and play that. So check this out, everybody. Let me know what you think in the chat. And here we go.
I like to make sure that I'm not influencing your investigations. So I like to give you time to explore first and then tell you the stories. Go on in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know that this was a train station, but it has had since the society has had to do very special assignments. I want to introduce you guys to
Back in my head.
It's Johnny Bravo from HauntScene. Guess could occur at any time.
here.
I like that.
And so we're most common spaces. So the rooms that you may see throughout the tour from here on out may be smaller rooms that maybe had a couple bunks in it and a closet. We do have one larger room. That's going to be where we spend most of our investigation time for the rest of the evening here. So before we do that though, you probably noticed this dark hallway over here. It's what we like to call advanced darkness. For some of you, you may know that this is not a tactic to try and scare you, but rather cleanse your senses. Downstairs is popping. Outside was hot and smelly and gross and loud. So this is just here to cleanse your
What happened?
senses.
Melissa, what happened?
So we're room. So spirits, we're at the ley line. It's right down the street from that. That was in their asylum-themed room, and due to the nature of the game, those rooms are video monitored and recorded. So
We actually have something for you. This is Buki. This is our mascot for the show and for the page. Buki.
Buki?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
It's like both of those ghosts mixed together.
Ah, it's like Boo and Spooky's baby.
So you can give them like a little friend or something.
Yes, I love him. For you.
Ooh. Awesome.
And I think a couple people.
Make sure you're on mute.
Unmute.
There we go. Okay,
right.
make sure you're on mute. Yes, that was
really
just like a
cool.
little highlight reel
Yes.
of some of the things that we stopped at.
We do have to talk about that flower.
The flower.
The flower. Originally it was Jeremiah. Jeremiah had saw that blue flower move slightly, I think, to the right, and then
It was like right when we walked in.
it was right when we walked in, and then he was like, "Melissa, did you see that?" I'm like, "See what?" He's like, "That flower moved." I'm like, "Jeremiah, you're messing with me, right?" He's like, "No, for real, I saw it." And then a couple moments pass, And I swear to you, I was staring at it and I saw it slightly move to the left, and it never moved again after that. But what was funny was there was a fan across the other room, but it wasn't strong enough to hit the flowers on the other side. But the red was closer to the fan than the blue one was, and the red never moved.
Wow.
Only the blue one did. And I swear to you, it amazes me to this day.
It's kind of like a pinwheel.
Yeah, it was like a pinwheel flower, and I swear I saw it move slightly to the left. And I lost my mind. It was crazy.
And that does not happen often, by the way. So that was really incredible that you got to see that.
Yeah.
I was all excited and she told me about it. And we know that there's a little boy that hides under that table. And I purposely moved the tablecloth away and put flowers there so that we could actually maybe see him. Some of our guests have seen the little boy, his hand stick out of there. That's super creepy to me.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I think, and that's when I decided to take the tablecloth away. I was like, I really, that was just, I want to see this. And we removed it. And we've actually used an SLS camera in there, and you can actually see a little figure pop out of that area. So that is just absolutely super cool. And it just verifies again that the blue pinwheel is the one that turned. Like you said, logically,
that gives me chills.
If the fan's blowing on it, both pinwheels should be moving at the same time.
Yeah.
And it didn't, just the blue one.
Yeah.
And that experiment alone tells you that on the other side of the realm, they can see color. They can touch our things. They can understand English and follow instructions. So it's really such a great experiment to see that. So
yeah, it was really cool.
It's just one of the best things to ever happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really neat. Both Jeremiah and
we're still trying to find his name though.
Yeah.
I believe it was the same little boy that was running around the first time we did the tour.
We were trying to talk to a little boy in the train station named Alan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He has just shown up the last couple of days.
Yeah. We didn't really. I don't think we got anything from him. But we tried to, there was a little bear and a light,
like the flashlight
and
thing.
a music box that we were trying to communicate with him.
So
yes, so we had the other night that was 7 years old too, and she was able to communicate with him. So that's most of our information came from a child on our tour. So that was super cool. So he picks and selects certain guests to talk to. So we know for a fact right now that there's at least 3 or 4 kids that are running around in that train station. So we're trying to learn their names.
Yeah, I think Heather told us that there was a little girl the night before we went that interacted with them.
Yeah, because she brought extra stuff.
She brought extra stuff to kind of play with the entity.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Like each night we learn somebody new, and because it is a public space, we never assume it's the same ghost over and over. The night before that one, they met Annabelle. The night before that, there was a man in there. And certain tour guides will attract certain spirits. I have a tour guide right now. Her name is Jacqueline, and she is attracting 3 female spirits, kids. They say they're siblings, they're related. So that was super cool. And then for Chris and Heather to find Alan, that was super cool. And he says he's related to those other 3 children.
Oh, wow.
So they actually see each other. And they said that their mother used to frequent the train station.
Oh, wow.
And so I guess that brought back a memory. And so that's where they're hanging out right now. They don't live there, they said, but they hang out there quite often. So they may be just going there to play. So it is really, really interesting. We're documenting all that. We're trying to make sure that name is correct. When they tell us several times, then we will say, yep, so we definitely know this spirit is, Alan. This spirit is definitely, so-and-so, Annabelle. So there's one right now that we're working with, and we think her name is Agatha. So really, really cool.
Wow.
Huh.
I want to go back now.
Yeah, me too. I definitely want to do
thing.
a daytime tour too. So
yes,
that's and explore that art gallery. So for sure.
Absolutely. There, like I said, people think that nighttime is the only time ghosts come out, and that is not true. Time has stopped for spirits, so they have all the time in the world, if that makes any sense. And so you can see a ghost at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can see one at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, you can see one at midnight.
It's just scarier at night, I guess.
You're going to see these things.
Yeah.
The ambiance.
Yeah.
The ambiance. And you know what, though? some of the daytime tours are more of my active tours. And believe it or not, I think it's scarier because you see the pen flying at you, or you see something being tossed at you, because you can physically see it in the daytime. Where at nighttime, you're like, oh, did somebody just throw that?
That's
or,
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But when you actually can see it fly across the room at you, I think that's pretty scary.
Yeah. Speaking of, number 2.
Okay, so we have some questions. What are some of your own experience you've had from being a ghost host tour guide?
In the downtown area, I have actually seen where loved ones come through for people. I think that is probably the most incredible and almost like a miracle. So I always say that some of the guests can bring their own ghosts with them. So it's not always the ghosts that are in the building. And it is absolutely amazing when I have never met these people before and I can relay a message back to them.
Wow.
There was one particular case where a spirit kept whispering in my ear. I mean, all night long, they were bugging me so much, and I didn't bring it forth to the guest. And it bugged me so much. Well, even when I went home, I called them the next day and I said, hey, remember that spirit we encountered on our tour? And they said, yeah. And I go, they want to know about a white dress. What's up with a white dress? They kept whispering, white dress, white dress, white dress to me. And I said, they would not leave me alone. And I said, I had to call you and ask you that. And she goes, oh my gosh. And I said, what's wrong? She goes, I'm at the dress place right now trying on my wedding dress.
Wow.
As I'm talking to you.
Oh, snap.
And it was her grandmother. It was her grandmother that came through.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, we've had some incredible things like that. I mean, I don't like telling people that they will meet their loved ones, because then that expectation is there. But I'll tell you, over the 17 years that I've done tours, it is a tearjerker when their family members come through to them and is actually able to pass on a message to them.
Wow.
That makes them into true believers. And we don't just accept the answers. We do multiple choices. Like, okay, so we think we're talking to your grandmother. Come over here and write your grandmother's favorite color and add 3 other colors that are not her favorite colors. And they'll go, okay. And we'll go, so if you're really her grandmother, is your favorite color blue? Turn on the flashlight. Is it pink? Turn on the flashlight. Is it red? Turn on the flashlight. Is it green? Turn on the flashlight. So they'll go through a series of questions that they only know the answers to. And I will tell you, we are talking to their relatives sometimes.
Wow.
It's incredible when that happens. So, yeah.
It's crazy.
Gives me shivers.
Awesome. So, has there ever been a situation where you've had to leave a location or cut a tour short based on activity?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Has there ever been a situation where you've had to leave a location or cut a tour short based on the activity or energy that you run into?
I have not personally had to do that. I've had guests run out of the building. I've had tour guides run out of the building. That is one of the things I tell tour guides when they come onto the team. I said, our spirits will actually pick our tour guides. And they'll tell me, the genre that we're in, we'll always have people go, I love horror movies. I love scary stuff. And then they actually come and do my tours and want to become a tour guide. And they will quit after a day or two of training and go, oh my gosh, this is real spirits. You're not doing holograms. You're not faking this. This is the real deal. And I'm like, yes, when I told you that there are spirits in this building, I meant there are spirits in this building. Hairy Buffaloes is probably my hardest location for people to complete training in. When they have to do their own tour, they have to go up there and set up by themselves. Some nights I will tell you the energy is really, really heavy.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. And we've had doors slammed on themselves, and they will prank our tour guides, and they call me from the outside of the building going, I don't think I can do this. I can't do this.
Wow.
I'm quitting. So we've had people walk out on that end. But
Wow.
yes, so Hairy Buffaloes is probably the scariest building, and probably I have one more aggressive spirit in there than most other ones.
Yeah, speaking of which, because that's where the first tour ended up as well a couple of years ago. That is where you could feel it. You could feel that whole building.
Yeah.
That one night was pretty insane, and it seems like you've rearranged a couple things upstairs because when I walk through, and we talked about this last time we were on the show, like it's a dark hallway, and you go all the way down to the end of a dark hallway, make a left, and go all the way down to the back of the building to a door where you can see the light underneath. That's the kind of the final stop on the tour. And when we walked through last time, I could just there were open doors and hallways, and you just walk by and you could just feel like this pulsing weird energy. And
I feel like someone's staring at you.
I felt like like we were talking about earlier, there was a private event and it was very loud and there was a lot of bass like in the downstairs area. And I don't want to say it like ruined anything or affected whatever, but the first time we went to that building, it was like whisper quiet, and you could like hear a pin drop and the whole thing, and you could really like feel the actual building. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty nuts. Remember that hallway that they had the first time?
Yes.
And they had a ladder in front of it.
Yes.
And like, don't go in the hallway. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So that spirit is named Kevin. And we actually rearranged it to where our boutique is back there in the back. And I actually had to make amends with Kevin. I said, Kevin, I really, really need this space. I really need it to flow better, to work better with me. May I use the space? And the energy felt a little bit lighter. And I said, you can get the other hallway. You could take any of the rooms in the other hallway. So I really will say that he was very respectful. He's helpful. He may be a little grumpier than most of our spirits, but he actually moved down to the other hallway instead. And there is a room that he's occupying right now that people feel really not welcome. Yep, room 17.
We
feel very
walked
welcoming in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you feel it?
I did. I kind of felt
that room. That room felt different than the other ones. If you look right in this middle picture right here, this is where I broke out part of my equipment, one of the laser things, because I bought this laser grid thing specifically for that hallway. And like when we opened up the room, I walked right to it, and the light was on in there. I was like, this is weird. There's no ladder in front of this hallway anymore. And I opened it up, and it was like, this is where like the exit through the gift shop kind of their boutique is. And I was just like, huh. Because I remember the last time we were in there, you're like, okay, we're not going to go in there, but here we're going to open this door, and they had a ladder blocking it off, and like you could look down this hallway. It's darker than it probably should have been, and I remember seeing just like, because when I see stuff, it's like TV static. Mm-hmm. It was just like this big, like 6 foot plus person like in the hallway, and you could kind of feel something in between where you were and like the end of the hallway. And that's one of the reasons why I bought that laser grid thing, was because that you could see like spatial difference. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah, that room is creepy.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary for sure. And just like you said, there's some nights though that he is standing there still in that hallway. So some of the guests still don't want to go down that hallway, and some of our tour guides don't feel comfortable going down that hallway. He definitely, there's another spirit we call the big guy, and he's over 6 foot tall. He blocks out the lights most of the time, and you can see him walking in the hallways down at Harry Buffalo's quite often, and the different hallways. And he always picks on the male tour guides. We had one that I'm thinking specifically a couple of months ago. There was 3 of us up there. There was 2 females and 1 male, and this spirit specifically chose him. And he came back running through the hallway, and he goes, "Please come with me." And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And you can see the terror on his face, and he goes, "Something touched me." And I'm like, "Are you sure it's just like, maybe the wind or, some equipment bag?" And he's like, "No, I felt a hand on me. I felt a hand on me for sure." And I said, "Where did it happen?" He pointed to the hallway, and I knew who exactly it was. And I said, "Please be friendly. You're working with us. He is one of our newer tour guides. Don't scare him away. I need him tonight. I need him for the job. So please don't touch him. Don't scare him for tonight." And most of the spirits are very, very respectful. I think they know that we clean the area, we bring visitors to them, and we are always very respectful for them. Even though he's a little bit more aggressive and he likes to intimidate the males, he at least listens. You know what I mean? Like, please, we plead with him. Please be nice. And it's worked so far. But he allowed the gentleman to continue the tour and finish the tour for the rest of the night. So that was really, really interesting, because he was pasty white at that point. He lost all color to his face because he was so terrified that something grabbed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I really felt I felt the oppressiveness of that space. But this time around, like I don't know if it was just like I just didn't feel the same way, because that hallway, this middle hallway right here, like room 17 or whatever, we just walked right in. Melissa's like, I don't want to go in there. I'm like, open door, let's go.
I was scared, yeah.
But it was just just a different energies, different nights,
Absolutely.
Here is actually, before we get to that, I want to show you my ghost kit. I want to show off my ghost kit.
Okay, do it. Show it off.
Are you ready for this, Ting?
I am. I'm looking
All right.
forward to it.
All right, so here we go. So this is a makeup bag that I bought because this is the best thing to fit all the things.
Makeup bag.
And yeah,
Nice.
don't hate. You're hating.
I like it. I like it. It's cute.
My notepad for
cute.
evidence, right? To write stuff
Very
down.
organized. Yep.
Yep.
We want to document everything.
I know.
for sure.
Johnny's very organized. I love it.
And then
I love it.
I've got all my
Hey,
stuff in
with the
here.
sticker on it.
And
Yeah.
that's my sticker. And I've got all the different flashlights.
That's pretty cool.
'Cause you need flashlights. This is like the perfect bag for this.
That's awesome, actually.
So I ended up with 3 huge flashlights. I ended up with a black light flashlight, UV light. I ended up with the grid thing, which I think I took the battery out, where we saw that green thing in the middle. And then this is what I've got. And I was actually trying to use these throughout the night on the ghost tour. What's really nice about the American Ghost Adventures is they do have a whole thing of equipment that they'll let you use while you're on the tour, unless you bring your own stuff, obviously. So, like, your basic stuff, like a K2 meter, like this. You gotta have that. I've got a digital thermometer, and the reason I got this one is because this one right here not only keeps track of the current temperature, but it also keeps track of the highs and lows. So if you ever go through like a cold spot, it's going to show up on here. And I ended up at a cold spot in the train station, and I kept looking up, like, where's the air conditioning vent,
That's cool.
I brought these things, and then these are LED, these are cat toys, and they're motion activated. So, like, if I just leave it still for a moment, it's going to go off, it's going to stop, but if anything touches it, it lights up again.
Love it.
So I've got...
You notice, like you said, it was a cat toy, and that's just it. Being creative with your equipment
Yeah.
is amazing. So those are great things to have like that. That's awesome.
I got a compass in case I need to know what direction I'm facing for documentation. I have a backup battery thing, and then we have our camcorder that we use for our scare cam as well. Like, because this one's got IR light, night vision, basically. So got that. And then finally, I didn't get a chance to do this on this particular trip just because it was the whole night was kind of like loud, But I also bought I got a digital recorder for EVP. And I bought this one because it's, I think it's like multi-channel, and this one has like the long wave format or whatever. So I think I did okay with my ghost stuff.
Yeah, it's cool,
You
man.
did. You
That
did
is
excellent
awesome.
with it, actually.
Nice.
Good job, Johnny.
How's this room doing?
We'll have to get you some dowsing rods too.
That is the one thing I don't have. I need to get some dowsing rods. I didn't have a lot of luck with them this time.
I didn't either.
But if you remember 2 years ago when we were in the last room at the Hairy Buffalo, those things were just like ask a question. And dowsing rods are mainly for finding water, and you hold them up against your body, and they're these metal extendable poles, and you can ask questions, and you're holding them perfectly straight, and they will move based on something manipulating the energy in the area. So,
Yes.
So, like, hey, are you male or female? Cross the thing if you're a male, or, point to an object or whatever. And sometimes it's very responsive.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it takes a little bit of practice, so don't be discouraged by it. And I tell people that all the time. I said, it was not my favorite piece of equipment, but the last several years, it has come through with some great information for us. And some of the stuff, we just know that we're not, manipulating it. So it's pretty cool. So I always put that as one of the basic stuff to have. It's inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to travel with. And like I said, it just takes a little bit of practice. The more you use it, the more keen you get to it. And like Johnny said, dowsing rods are used to find water. Now, it's the same thing as a divining rod. It's just different usage. If you're using it to find energy and ghosts, that's why it's called a divining rod instead of a dowsing rod. So, but the words are interchangeable to me because you're finding something with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
It is a cool piece of instrument to have.
If you look here at on the right hand side here, here's a Lily actually holding the dowsing rods. If you wanted to know what they look like, so I got to get a pair of those. Here's the infamous Raggedy Ann doll from the promo picture and everything right there. So in a room, because there are you said we were talking earlier about like intelligent versus residual versus like haunted, like objects, like object haunting. In the last room, there's a couple objects that are in there. I think there's like a painting and a table and a wheelchair. That's right. So do you want to talk about those a little bit? Because do you notice that you find other objects in other buildings? Because we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Do you find, like, when you go into a certain location, you're like, oh, this one object is giving off something?
Yes, absolutely. So over the years, I've developed a skill to this, and I didn't know. So some days it's a gift, and other days it's a curse. Sometimes I can touch things and tell you about that object right off the bat. It's kind of scary. It's like flashes of what I can tell you. It's just images in my head real quick. The wheelchair came to us from the escape room. They caught it on camera moving by itself in the location, and they were reamping the room, and they were going to get rid of the wheelchair. And one of our tour guides actually works for the escape room also, and he brought it over to our location so we could study it more. Now, on one of my tours that I personally hosted, there was a little girl, and she comes up to me and she pulls on my shirt and she goes, "Who's the grandma?" And I said, Who are you talking about? And this is before I even told the story. You told about the haunted objects in the building. And she goes, "Right over there." And she points to the wheelchair. And she goes, "Oh, she's gone." Just like that. So we know there's an older woman sitting in a chair. We know that. We've communicated with her several times, but she has not given us a name yet. And she has not told us where she's from or anything like that. So she's been very, very elusive with us on that one. Now, we also have a table that's in there, and with the dowsing rods and meters and stuff like that, before telling people what's haunted in the building, we let them go find these things.
Spoiler alert. Sorry about those people.
It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
There's several different tables and stuff like that, so they can't really know which one, you know what I mean? So there is a table in there that was bought by one of our investigators, and his wife loves to collect antiques, and she went to this antique shop, and she kept walking by this table, and she said there was a draw to it, and then she finally just said, "You know what? It's inexpensive. I'm going to purchase it." She brought it home, and several nights later, her husband is a police officer, and he does homicide cases. So he's an overnight guy. So she sleeps by herself with her 3 dogs, and she says a few nights later, the dogs were sleeping on the bed, and they stood straight up. The hairs on their backs were all straight and spiked up, and they started growling at the bedroom door. She got so scared, because that's not the typical behavior of her dog. She pulled a gun out of her drawer and says, "If you come in this room, I am armed. I am armed."
Oh my God.
And she dialed 911, and the cops came, her husband came and everything. And they said, "What's going on?" They couldn't find any breaking points on the doors or anything, like any, breaking into the house. And she says, "I saw a shadow at the door, and the dog started barking, and I just, panicked, and I pulled the gun out and I called 911. And didn't think about it again. A few nights later, same thing happened. The dogs did it again. And this time she got brave. She walked up to the door and she opened it real quick, and there was nobody there. But again, she saw a shadow figure under the door moving back and forth.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
So, right? She was by herself. She was really, and this is a woman that's strong. She is used to sleeping by herself at nighttime because her husband works overnights. And so she waited for him to get home in the morning and said, "I think we have a ghost in our house." And he's like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, it happened again last night." So he broke out his ghost hunting kit and did dowsings and did these EMF detectors and stuff like that. And it all pointed to the table.
Wow.
And he goes, "When did we get this table?" She goes, "About a couple of weeks ago." And he goes, "Well, this is what the object haunt is." And he started talking to it and said, "Hey, you can stay here, whoever you are. I'm not sure who you are, but you can't scare my wife. That's the only stipulation." Next couple of weeks, things kept happening. So he finally called me and said, "Ting, you take this table." I'm like, "Okay, well, wrap it up in a cloth and put salt around it, and I'll come pick it up if you think it's that haunted." And he says, "Yeah, it's messing with our family here." So we went down to South Florida. I brought another tour guide with me. And as soon as he put that table in my car, I could feel a male presence. I said, don't tell me anything about the table. Keep me in the dark. So that way you're not influenced what I feel and see. And he put it in the back of my van, and I could feel a man in the back of it. And I got it all the way to Harry Buffalo's, put it in there. And we started studying it for the next couple of weeks and stuff like that. And I called him up and I said, is it a man? Is it an old man? And he goes, yes, it is. And he says he's hunched over, he's walking back and forth. And since I put that table there and I don't tell people what table is, most of our guests will go, I just saw a shadow figure. And I go, interesting. Is it a male or female? And they'll go, if I had to guess, I would say male, and nailed it every single time. And it's always in that same vicinity of that table.
Wow.
We've had a lamp put on top of it, and it's burnt the light bulbs out several times now. I physically have not seen him, but he's made himself known for sure. But we still are waiting for a name from him. He did tell our investigator the name, but I just said, don't tell us yet. He's been with us probably 4 or 5 months at this point. I still haven't gotten a name yet. So that's, yeah. So the objects we brought there just so that we can study. And we do know that they can see each other. We'll ask them to count how many spirits are in the room. Sometimes they'll do the exact number and stuff like that we know.
Wow.
You know, they count the little boy, they count the wheelchair lady, they count the painting, they count the table, and the guy in the hallway sometimes. So it's really interesting each night to see how many ghosts are actually up there. They're coexisting.
Yeah.
Coexisting. We actually had to eliminate the wheelchair and the painting and put it in room 17 for a while because we started getting no activity up there. None. It was what I call a dead spot. No pun, pun intended. And so we were like, maybe the wheelchair, the grandma, and the painting are so strong that they're scaring the kids away because that room is heavily present with a lot of kids, and we're used to having them play with us, move the ball, move the pinwheel, open and shut doors and stuff like that.
That pinwheel.
But nothing was happening.
I finally saw it.
Nothing was happening for 2 weeks.
I wish I would have got that on camera.
We isolated.
Oh man, because I know
that
I
would have
saw
been
it.
amazing.
I know.
Melissa,
I wish
if you had gotten that.
Oh my! If I would have, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe I was speechless.
You know what's funny is the entire time she was telling that story, I couldn't my brain was still thinking about the wheelchair because they had to relocate the wheelchair from the second floor of that escape game. Remember when we did that? So did this person push the wheelchair all the way from there to the thing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so I can imagine Ghost Grandma in the wheelchair going, "What's going on?" The whole time it's getting pushed because it's a couple blocks away.
It is.
I just thought of that.
It is.
And then all the way up the stairs.
Oh, what's going on? Whee!
Right?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you should have seen it when he brought it to Harry Buffalo's and started bringing it upstairs. The employees were like, "Oh, we don't have an elevator," and he went, "It's okay. There's not a guest per se that needs to walk up the stairs. I'm going to be carrying this wheelchair because he's already sitting in a wheelchair." And they all just looked at him like he was like crazy. It was just a fun thing. He goes, everybody was staring as he was pushing this invisible person in a wheelchair a couple blocks to Harry Buffalo's.
Like,
so it's neat.
Speaking about getting scared and all that.
All the spirits are friendly. I mean,
well, that's good. That's good to know. So just speaking about getting scared and all this, does ghost hunting ever scare you? Do you ever feel scared when you do the tours?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To this day, I still jump. I tell guests, I go, if I run, you run. Because,
if I run,
it's really bad.
If Ting does our tour again and she starts running, I'm running Ting. Because then it's really bad.
Yeah. I always tell guests, I go, I don't know who I'm going to encounter, whether you're dead or alive. If I don't expect you, I'm going to scream. So I usually let a happy birthday person or somebody celebrating something, I go, you get to go first. I'll be right behind you. Yeah. And then somebody will be behind me because I've seen enough scary movies to know that I'm okay in the middle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they think it's part of the script, and I'm like, no, it's the true part. I don't want to be first and I don't want to be last. It's scary. I don't like the dark. So I get a lot of pushback from the guys at the fire department also from that. They're like, how can you hunt ghosts and be scared of the dark? I'm like, well, because I'm usually with other people.
Yeah. I'm just scared of what comes out of the dark. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It is scary. It is a scary thing. I've had ghosts follow me. I've had ghosts, quote unquote, like torture me, if that makes any sense, because they prank me. And I don't like that. I don't like that. So I always ask them. So there's places I won't go. There's like evil places. If I feel a very negative energy or if I think it's demonic or anything like that, that's a different field altogether.
Yeah.
And I won't go into those locations.
Gotcha. Well, if that doesn't entice you to do the tour, the American Ghost Adventures, they do offer all kinds of other tours. So if you just go to AmericanGhostAdventures.com, you can see their current offerings, not only in downtown Orlando, but sometimes they do investigations in some other areas. Actually, I think you got one coming up this weekend, right?
We do. For Friday the 13th, you can stay at a legitimately haunted mansion in Micanopy. And so we'll have all our equipment there, and you guys will get to tour the different rooms. It is a bed and breakfast place, so you can rent the room out and stay overnight with us. So it is an amazing location. It has not disappointed us ever. And the rooms are great, breakfast is great, and the ghost hunting is just fantastic at this location.
Oh man!
I eventually we've got MegaCon this weekend, but I want to do that.
If I woke up and saw someone with me that I didn't know, I'd probably walk back to Orlando.
Wow.
I'm out.
Melissa, I'm with you. I am with you. So I got the room with 3 beds, so that the other tour guides are in there with me.
Exactly. I wouldn't sleep alone. Oh no. No.
Yeah, I can't sleep alone in a haunted place.
If I woke up in the middle of the night and saw that, no, I'd be like, it's your bed now. Take it. All yours.
My tour guide Brooke, she comes with me a lot of these, and she's usually my roommate on that.
Mm-hmm.
And we leave the lights on. She's one of the better tour guides. I'm like, can I leave the light on? She's like, yes, please do.
Not gonna help you. Awesome. So
yes, we sleep with the lights on.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
That's right. I slept with the lights on the night after this thing.
Did you really?
I did.
I was actually kind of scared to go back to my place alone. I had to put on some cartoons and fall asleep with cartoons on my TV.
Yeah.
I was scared.
It does play with your mind. It just plays with your mind. I tell people there's no jump scares, but it's a psychological thriller. You will be sitting on the couch watching something and think of me going, Ting's right. I'm not by myself, or am I?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? You just don't know. That's just the thing. They're always watching us, and I know that certain people attract certain energies.
Yeah.
And yes, they can follow you home. The real question is, will they? But
don't tell me that. It's scary. It's scary
if
to
they
think.
find you interesting enough, Melissa, they will follow you home, but they will leave eventually.
Eventually, or you could just tell them that they're not welcome.
Right? Yep. You can tell them that. If they're a good ghost, they'll leave you alone and just know Ting needs you back downtown. You got to go to work.
Right.
So you got to go look for out.
Speaking of follow, look at this segue. Make sure you're following American Ghost Adventures on social media. Yeah.
Yes.
So AmericanGhostAdventures.com. Remember, AmericanGhostAdventures.com, spelled right. Facebook.com/Best Ghost Tours, Instagram.com/American Ghost Adventures, Twitter.com/AGA Crew. And I was looking, I didn't know this, but you actually got a YouTube channel and you've got some investigations, some videos there. Here is the email, the phone number, if you want to get a hold of Ting and book a tour. Highly recommended. We've had nothing but good times the last 2 times. We'll give it a little while to reset, and we'll probably end up doing it again in the future.
We will take you to a different location the next time you guys come out.
Okay. Cool.
So
I know.
we got another exciting location I want to show you guys.
Yes.
What if the ghosts get familiar with us that we keep coming out?
Well, I mean, that's fine.
They definitely will follow you home at that point.
Oh my God, Ting! No.
They're like, Melissa's party.
Party time.
I recognize her. Let's go check out her place.
I know, right?
We got one last question in the chat here from Alex Williams. Have you ever been on TV shows like Ghost Hunters?
Yeah, has Ghost Hunters ever gone down and explored these places?
Okay, so years ago, I owned a company called Orlando Ghost Tours. So that was the original start to our Orlando tours. It was called Orlando Ghost Tours, and then we became American Ghost Adventures. And yes, Taps came on to one of our locations. It was called the Bellevue Biltmore in Clearwater, Florida.
Okay.
So yes, they investigated the same place we did. If you watch Mysteries at the Museum, you'll find me on that one. That one, I'm not talking about ghosts. I'm talking about a whale And there is also Paranormal 911. I'm on that episode there. You can see us. We talk about a local theme park that I ran a call on and actually saw a dead body. Not to be a spoiler alert, but you get to see that story. That one was super creepy. And then we just filmed for haunted hospitals. I had a run-in with a ghost when I had to check into the emergency room back in March of 2020, when the beginning of COVID, because we deal with a lot of sick people. I ended up getting sick myself, and at that time they were unfamiliar with COVID and all that, so they ran the protocol, and I was out. I mean, I could barely move my body. Wow. I was in paralysis, and I was in a haunted hospital room. I actually saw a man walk up, and I couldn't even move, and I heard footsteps the entire time. And when I had the medication that worked on me, I asked the nurse if they had ever heard of that, and she says, "That is so weird that you said that. The gentleman that was in that room before you kept pushing the nurse's button, swearing that somebody was trying to kill him. And he was so insistent and that he was so irritated that they moved him to another room just to settle him down, and he was no more trouble in the other room."
Wow.
The spirit that I saw did not try to harm me. It was a man with boots on, like he was pacing back and forth, and he sat in the couch. And I said hello, and I just could not move though. There's they had me in a sealed room for contamination. And when they opened the door, you could hear the door, the vacuum open and shut. And so you knew when somebody was coming in the room with you, and none of that happened. And then I heard the footsteps by my bed.
It's like a horror movie.
So,
I know, right?
So yeah, that was really scary, because
Paranormal Pandemic.
I was really trying to, right? Yeah.
Movie
so
title.
we've been on those shows. If you look at those up, you'll find us on those shows.
Wow.
Also.
Very cool. Well, Ting, that hour went so quick. I mean, I feel like we could talk again in the future. We'll have to have you back on the show. As we kind of wind this down, was there any shout outs or anything that you wanted to give to anybody?
I'd like to thank the team, and I'd like to thank all our guests for coming out and helping us become TripAdvisor's #1 ghost tour here in Orlando. We appreciate you guys, of course, for hosting and coming out on the tour and supporting a small business. And of course, if you guys need equipment, we have the basic equipment, but we also work with Ghost Stop. They're in St. Cloud. And so
they're in St. Cloud?
Other small businesses in the
area. Are they really?
They're in St. Cloud.
We could just go shop for stuff.
We could.
You could go shop for stuff. Just say hi to Sean. Just tell him Ting sent you.
Get the Ting discount.
Get that Ting high tech. Yeah.
Nice.
All our high tech stuff to Ghost Stop. And like I said, of course, if you guys are looking for other ghost tour companies in the area of, throughout the country, we can recommend those also. So we have some great small businesses out there that we try to support also. So there's a network of us that we will refer you to.
Very cool. Yeah. We're actually we're doing a road trip. We're gonna end up in New Orleans this year, so we might be hitting you up on that.
Yeah.
Please
awesome.
do. We'll point you in the right direction for sure.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Awesome show. You're so great to talk to. Next time you come back, you got to come back in, though.
Yeah, gotta come back in the
studio. But don't bring anything with you.
She might, though. She might.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah.
But,
I'll bring you a haunted object. I'll bring you a haunted object that you can keep.
No.
That way you're
please,
never alone.
How about you bring a haunted object in the studio, but you take it with you when you leave?
Yeah. Well,
every time I buy something from like an antique store, I'm like scared.
I don't know. I might be out of town for that show, John.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going.
Yeah, whenever that is, I'll be unavailable.
I think I'm going to Madagascar that day.
Awesome.
Well, you guys know what? We'll actually do a stay over at one of the haunted places. That'd be cool. And we can do the show from there also.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, I'm gonna leave every light on.
You guys will like that. And Melissa, we'll sleep with the lights on.
Okay, yeah. Several night lights. I gotta watch cartoons. I'll be fine.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All
right, Ting, hang out for a moment while we wrap this up. Hang out on the old Zooms. We'll be right back with you. And thank you so much. Awesome. That was so great. Okay, we got one last thing to show on our little clippy thing here is make sure that you catch us. We're going to be at MegaCon this weekend, so if you're going to MegaCon, we'll be there. A lot of all the cool people are going to MegaCon, so we're really excited about that this weekend. So there's that. just real quick, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon supporters, Raven and John Sebastian Laval, Crystal Laval, and Daniel Shreve. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We do appreciate that. 100% of all the support on the show goes right back into the show to pay our, Zoom bills and web hosting bills and all that stuff. So patreon.com/HauntScene. Make sure that you follow HauntScene on everything, HauntScene.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all HauntScene. Email us, HauntScene@gmail.com. Subscribe, watch our videos. We'll be putting this out as a podcast, so if you're listening to the podcast version of this, thank you so much for downloading. Appreciate that. And yeah, so that's going to be it for us. Do you know who we've got on the show next week?
I do not.
Wow. Next week on the show, we're going to have Zach from Sir Henry's Haunted Trail. Now, next week,
that's right. We don't have a
show
Tuesday.
is going to be on Thursday, August 19th.
I mean, we don't have this Thursday, right? And no Tuesday, so next Thursday.
So no show this Thursday, no show next Tuesday. But we're going to have a show on, unless some haunt contacts me and wants to do a show. Actually, I can't. I'm going to the dentist that day. I won't be able to talk. So Zach will be on for Sir Henry's. I think he's coming into the studio. I think he's bringing somebody with him. So that'll be fun. And then maybe we can arrange some kind of giveaway or something like that.
Sweet. I'm excited.
But that ought to be a good show. And remember, we're kind of, at that point, we'll still be halfway through our haunt season preview month. Mm-hmm. And then right in the beginning of September, we get to it.
And that's 2 days before my birthday.
Yeah, and Melissa will
I'll be 30.
Wow.
30.
Wow. Crazy.
I know, right?
So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching the show. We do appreciate all of you watching. And that's it for me. So till next time, spook easy.
As always, happy haunting. Have a good night, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Give me some treats.